if you're a fan of management sims like Theme Park, Theme Hospital, 2 Point Museum, and Prison Architect and games like that, then you're really going to be interested in News Tower. Now, it's been in early access for a while, but it's now getting a full release and I've been playing it. The idea behind the game is that you're a media mogul trying to build a newspaper in the 1930s, which is the golden age of newspapers, but the game is so much deeper than that, so sit back, grab a drink, and let's get into the full review. So I really enjoyed my time with News Tower, and it's a lot deeper than I ever expected it to be. Now, you don't have to have a particular interest in newspapers or journalism to really enjoy this game, but it does help, and I would say that I really enjoyed this aspect of it. You start out with basically very little money, and you are in a city, and you basically have you can print on like one piece of paper, and you have like one journalist to send out to stories, and then you make up every week, every Sunday's paper you make up with the stories they bring back. So let's unpack this like bit by bit. So yes, you hire journalists for your newspaper, which you get to name, by the way. Then you send them out on stories, which, is kind of like in other games where you send people out on missions and it takes 2 or 3 days and then they come back with, the actual story, and then you can choose where to slot it in the newspaper. In the beginning, this is obviously very simple because you don't have a lot of space to play with, but the stories are all different types. So you have crime, you have sports, you have, politics. But really it goes beyond this because you actually have to manage the whole newspaper company. So you get to build your actual building, you build new floors on. This is where it gets a bit like Prison Architect. It's 2D, isometric, and you select where people's desks go, where the toilet is, where this and that is, where the printing machine is. And with that comes problems. So for example, if you put the really loud printing machine next to the journalist's desk, it's going to cause a whole lot of problems because they're extremely loud. So you really need to think about the layout of your building and, put the printing machine or the toilets by themselves, and then obviously they create noise, or toilets create stink, so you need to install vents and lighting, and it's really good in that respect. Then you also have to deal with the minutiae of running the newspaper company too. So you need a clerk, you need someone who's going to you need to order paper, and then you need someone to actually get that paper off of the truck and take it in and distribute it. You also need a janitor. It's far more than the actual newspaper. So you basically have to do all of this within a certain budget. You can borrow money, and the more interesting stories you get, the more popular your newspaper gets. Now, this is where it gets even more interesting because you start in New York, you can basically choose which areas you're going to target around your company's building. So you're like, okay, Manhattan, and then it will tell you, okay, the people in Manhattan like politics. So if you start chasing political stories, you'll gain more subscribers from Manhattan. And then it's very much like that, where you basically target area by area and you spread your influence and get more subscribers, which translates to more money, which means you can, make bigger papers, have more journalists, get more stories, and you end up with a media empire. Now, this isn't just related, contained to New York. You can have a European correspondent and all of that. It goes global, and then you can bring stories back from abroad. And it truly is like the 1930s Ernest Hemingway kind of model of journalism that is really interesting, where they send back telegraphs, and your telegraph is report the stories back to the people, and then they start typesetting it. And there's so much depth here, but it's not too much to where, if you're not interested in all of that you really need to worry, because it's really heavy on the management side, and that's great. I really found not a lot to hate about News Tower. It's a really, really good game. I would say that if there are any faults, the faults are just that it can get a little bit repetitive once you've played many hours of it, because you are you know, while it is interesting to spread your influence and grow your empire, at a base level you are just putting together a newspaper. And it's the same sort of thing. And while there are different aspects that you unlock as time goes on, so you can unlock, you know, you'll have the ability to edit. Like if the story isn't fully reported in time for the paper, you can stop, you can edit things out, you can edit things in. And it's quite advanced like that. And obviously, and also like there's different factions in the game, so you can side with like the mayor of New York or the mafia, and they all want something different. So obviously like the mafia want you to not report on their stuff, and the mayor wants you to, you know, report on good stuff and good stories, and the more you do what they want, the more benefit you gain from them. So you can choose to be like a altruistic newspaper person, or you can just choose to like go completely rogue and basically be a disinformation machine. But this is also to say that you know, it's really good, but as I said, the negative side is that when it does come down to the very base level, it is just putting the newspaper together every week. Every Sunday you have to hit that deadline, newspaper goes out the door, and it's great, but that is my only nitpick with the game, really. Otherwise there's so much great gameplay to on offer here, especially in the full version, now that it's leaving early access. So News Tower comes highly recommended from me, and I would say that this is worth picking up basically right now. You can pick it up for about $19.99, and there's no, I would say, you know, if you're thinking buy now, wait for a sale, or just skip it, this is definitely worth buying now. Unless you just don't have the money. But if you like what I've said here, and you do like other management games, as I said, like, you know, kind of like it's very much a kind of Prison Architect cross with 2 Point games. And if that sounds good to you, then I think you're really going to enjoy News Tower, because it is an indie game too, which is really, really interesting. As I said, there's a lot more to it than just, you know, at a base level, it's just putting a newspaper together, but there's so much, you know, you choose which stories to send your journalists on, and just everything like that. There is so much depth here. So highly recommended. You should go and pick up News Tower.